Hey guys! All right, we have a brand new book, The Willoughbys by Lois Lowry. Okay, and again, this is just a fun fiction book that we're just going to read for a little bit. It's not too long, so it won't take us too much time. All right, but hopefully we'll do about a chapter a day, something like that. See how we go. All right, The Willoughbys. And if you have seen the movie, still listen, because books are always very different than movies. And if you haven't seen the movie, then let's listen and then you can watch the movie afterwards. All right. That is The Willoughbys. Here we go. Table of contents at the beginning, right? And that's going to tell us what the chapter is. So the old-fashioned family and the beastly baby. What do you foreshadow about that baby? Is that baby going to be a nice baby? And I'm going to show you the pictures too, because the pictures are really fun. All right, the old-fashioned family and the beastly baby. Once upon a time, there was a family named Willoughby, an old-fashioned type of family with 4 children. The eldest was a boy named Timothy. He was 12. Barnaby and Barnaby were 10-year-old twins. No one could tell them apart. Oh, look, she made some cute little...
This one's Peppermint, and this one's Pepper. That one's Dad, my dad. He has a beard and mustache.
That's pretty cool. Thanks for sharing. All right, let's go back to the oldest.
We're going out in the shop.
Okay. The eldest was a boy named Timothy. He was 12. Barnaby and Barnaby were 10-year-old twins. No one could tell them apart. And it was even more confusing because they had the same name. So they were known as Barnaby A and Barnaby B. Most people, including their parents, shortened this to A and B. And many were unaware that the twins even had names. There was also a girl, a timid, pretty little thing with eyeglasses and bangs. Hey! She was the youngest, just 6.5, and her name was Jane. They lived in a tall, thin house in an ordinary city, and they did the kinds of things that children in old-fashioned stories do. They went to school and to the seashore. They had birthday parties. Occasionally, they were taken to the circus or the zoo, although they did not care much for either, expecting the elephants. I didn't quite understand that. Occasionally, they were taken to the circus or the zoo, although they did not care much for either, excepting the elephants. Oh, so they liked the elephants at either place. Their father, an impatient and irascible man. I don't know what that word means. Irascible. I-R-A-S-C-I-B-L-E. I-R-A-S-C-I-B-L-E. I'm going to have to look that up. Irascible man went to work at a bank each day, carrying a briefcase and an umbrella, even if it was not raining. Their mother, who was indolent and ill-tempered. Indolent! I don't know what that means. I'm going to write that down too. Indolent and ill-tempered did not go to work. So ill-tempered means she's like not very nice. Wearing a pearl necklace, she grudgingly prepared the meals. Once she read a book, but found it distasteful because it contained adjectives. Occasionally, she glanced at a magazine. The Willoughby parents frequently forgot that they had children and became quite irritable when they were reminded of it. Tim, the eldest, had a heart of gold, as many old-fashioned boys do, but he hid it behind a somewhat bossy exterior. It was Tim who decided that the children would do, what games they would play. We'll have a game of chess now, he occasionally said, and the rules are that only boys can play, and the girl will serve cookies each time a pawn is captured. How they would behave in church. Kneel nicely and keep a pleasant look on your face, but think only about elephants, he told them once. Whether or not they would eat what their mother had cooked, we do not like this, he might announce, and they would all put down their forks and refuse to open their mouths, even if they were very, very hungry. Once his sister whispered to him privately after a dinner that they had refused to eat. I liked it. But Tim glared at her and replied, it was stuffed cabbage. You are not allowed to like stuffed cabbage. All right, Jane said with a sigh. She went to bed hungry and dreamed, as she often did, about becoming older and more self-assured, so that some day she could play whatever games she liked or eat any food she chose. Their lives proceeded in exactly the way lives proceed in old-fashioned stories. One day they had even found a baby on their doorstep. This happens quite often in old-fashioned stories. The Bobbsey twins, for example, found a baby on their doorstep once, but it had never happened to the Willoughbys before. The baby was in a wicker basket and wearing a pink sweater that had a note attached to it with a safety pin. I wonder why Father didn't notice it when he left for work, Barnaby A. said, looking down at the basket which was blocking the front steps to their house, when the four children set out one morning to take a walk in the nearby park. Father is oblivious. You know that, Tim pointed out. He steps over any obstructions. Puts things in his way. I expect he poked it aside. They all looked down at the basket and at the baby, which was sound asleep. They pictured their father taking a high step over it, and moving it slightly out of the way with his furled black umbrella. We could set it out for the trash collector, Barnaby B. suggested. If you take one handle, A, and I take the other, I believe we could get it down the stairs without much trouble. Are babies heavy? Please, could we read the note? Asked Jane, trying to use the self-assured voice that she practiced in secret. The note was folded over so that the writing could not be seen. I don't think it's necessary, Tim replied. I believe we should, Barnaby B. said. It could possibly say something important. Perhaps there is a reward for finding the baby, Barnaby A. suggested, or it might be a ransom note. You dolt, Tim said to him. Ransom notes are sent by the ones who have the baby. Maybe we could send one then, said Barnaby A. Perhaps it says the baby's name, said Jane. Jane was very interested in names because she had always felt as she had an inadequate one, with too few syllables. I would like to know its name. The baby stirred and opened its eyes. I suppose the note might give instructions about babies, Tim said, peering down at it. It might say where to put them if you find one. The baby began to whimper, and then very quickly the whimper changed to a yowl. Or, said Barnaby B., holding his ears, how to keep them from screeching. If the note doesn't tell the name, may I name it? Jane asked. What would you name it? Barnaby A. asked with interest. Jane frowned. Something with 3 syllables, I think. She said, babies deserve 3 syllables. Brittany? Barnaby A. asked. Possibly, Jane replied. Madonna? Barnaby B. suggested. No, Jane said. Taffeta, I think. Taffeta. By now the baby was waving its fists, kicking its chubby legs, and crying loudly. The Willoughbys' cat appeared at the front door, gazed briefly down at the basket, twitched its whiskers, and then dashed back inside as if it was made nervous by the sound. The baby did sound a bit like a yowling kitten. Perhaps that was why. Tim finally reached down past the flailing little fists and unpinned the note. He read it silently. The usual, he said to the others. Pathetic. Just what I expected. What do you guys think the note says? He read it aloud to them. I chose this house because it looks as if a happy, loving family lives here, prosperous enough to feed another child. I am very poor, alas. I have fallen on hard times and cannot care for my dear baby. Please be good to her. Take that handle, twins, Tim said to his brothers. He took hold of the opposite handle. Jane, you carry the note. We'll take the whole disgusting thing inside. Jane took the folded note and followed behind her brothers, who picked up the basket, carried it into the front hall of the house, and set it there on an oriental rug. The noise coming from the baby was not insignificant. Their mother, frowning, opened the door at the end of the long hall. She emerged from the kitchen. Whatever is that noise? She asked. I am trying to remember the ingredients for meatloaf, and I cannot hear myself think. Oh, someone has left a beastly baby on our front steps, Tim told her. My goodness, we don't want a baby, their mother said, coming forward to take a look. I don't like the feel of this at all. I'd like to keep it, Jane said in a small voice. I think it's cute. No, it's not cute, Barnaby A said, looking down at it. Not cute at all, Barnaby B agreed. It has curls, Jane pointed out. Their mother peered at the baby and then reached toward the basket of beige knitting they kept on a hall table. She removed a small pair of gold-plated scissors and snipped them open and closed several times thoughtfully. Then she leaned over the basket and used the scissors. Now it doesn't have curls, she pointed out and put the scissors away. Jane stared at the baby. Suddenly it stopped crying and stared back at her with wide eyes. Oh, dear! It isn't cute without curls, Jane said. I guess I don't want it anymore. Take it someplace else, children, their mother said, turning back towards the kitchen. Dispose of it. I'm busy with a meatloaf. The 4 children lugged the basket back outside. They discussed the problem. It was Barnaby A, actually, who came up with the plan, which he explained to Tim since he made all the decisions for the group. Fetch the wagon, Tim commanded. The twins got their wagon from where it was kept, along with bicycles, under the stoop of the house. The boys set the basket inside the wagon while their sister watched. Then, taking turns pulling the handle of the wagon, they transported the baby in its basket down the block, across the street, waiting carefully for the light, for 2 more blocks, and around the corner to the west, going some distance farther until reaching their destination. They finally stopped in front of a very forbidding house that was known as the Melanoff Mansion. The gentleman who lived there was a millionaire, maybe even a billionaire, but he never came out. He stayed indoors with the moldy curtains drawn, counting his money and feeling hostile. As with Scrooge from another old-fashioned story, tragic events in his past had caused him to lose interest in life. The mansion was much larger than the other houses in the neighborhood, but it was unkempt. A wrought iron fence around its yard was tilted and twisted in places, and the yard itself was cluttered with pieces of discarded furniture. Some of the windows were broken and boarded over, and a thin cat scratched itself and meowed on the porch. Wait, A, said Tim, when his brother began to push open the front gate. I need to add to the note. He held his hand out to Jane, who had placed the folded paper carefully in the pocket of her ruffled frock, and gave it to him. Pencil, Tim demanded, and one of the twins, for all the children were accustomed to carrying whatever Tim might need and demand, handed him a pencil. Barnaby B turned so that Tim could use his back for a table. Could you tell them what I wrote, B? Tim asked his brother when he finished. No, it felt like scribbles. You must train yourself better, Tim pointed out. If my back had been the table, I would be able to recite each word and also the punctuation. Practice when you have a chance. Barnaby B nodded. You too, eh? Tim said, looking at the other twin. I will, Barnaby A promised. So will I, offered Jane. No, you needn't, because you're a girl. You will never be called upon for important work. Oh my goodness, Tim told her. Jane began to cry a little, but very quietly, so that no one would notice. She vowed, though, through her quiet little tears, that one day she would prove Tim wrong. Here is what I wrote, Tim told them, holding up the note. He read it out loud. P.S. If there is any reward to be had for this beastly baby, it should go to the Willoughbys. The other children nodded. They thought the P.S. was a good idea. You might say must instead of should, Barnaby proposed. Good idea. B, turn around. Barnaby B turned, and Tim used his back for a table again, erasing one word and replacing it with the other, which Barnaby B could feel him underline. When Tim read it out loud, if there is any reward to be had for this beastly baby, it must go to the Willoughbys. He refolded the note and leaned down towards the basket. Then he paused. Turn again, B, he commanded. After his brother had turned to make a table of his back one more time, Tim wrote an additional sentence. He folded the note and pinned it to the baby's sweater. Get the gate, Jane, Tim said, and he pulled it open. Now 1, 2, 3, hoist! Together the boys lifted the basket containing the baby from the wagon. They carried it to the sagging, dusty porch of the mansion and left it there. The Willoughbys walked home. What did you add to the note at the end, Tim? Barnaby A asked. Another P.S. What did it say, Tim? Asked Barnaby B. It said, her name is Ruth. Jane pouted. Why? She asked. Because, Tim said with a sly smile, we are the ruthless Willoughbys. All right, and that is the end of chapter 1. Oh my goodness, you guys, this story, it was called The Beastly Baby, right? That's what the Willoughbys and the Beastly Baby. But there was only one person that I thought was a true beastly character. They're so nasty, aren't they, those kids? What's up with that? What is happening? Not cool, man. Not cool. Seems like it might be a fun little book to read for a little bit. What do you think? Anyways, some hard words in there. They use big words. I'm gonna look up right now. Irascible and indolent. Irascible and indolent. Let's see what those mean. Anywho, I hope you guys are having fun. I hope you had a good art class. I'm hoping you're having a good day. Get out there, go get your recorders, meet yourselves at the school, and have a good time. All right, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.